Get our hair good.
Yeah,
get the hair ready.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me.
Oh, gross. That's funny.
Gross is the brand, Hannah. You should know this by now. Well, hey, thank you for tuning in to the Destination podcast. I am Destin Richardson. Joining us today, we have the very funny, very talented Hannah Roms.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm.
Happy to be here.
Of course. Thank you for making the drive.
Absolutely. The most beautiful drive is from Columbus to Newark.
I hear very conflicting tales about the drive from Columbus to Newark.
I like that one part where it's like you can go around or you can go to Easton Way. And no matter how many times I go, you know what I'm talking about, where it veers off?
Yeah.
No matter how many times I do that, I always freak out thinking that I took the wrong exit. I've done it like probably 30 times at this point.
Yeah, especially if you're coming from the like south going there, you can always constantly miss it and accidentally get Morse. Yeah, but yeah,
most beautiful drive in Ohio.
That's right. Just pure nothingness, just straight, just flat.
Exactly.
Yep. A few trees that are all dead. Yep.
That's what I like. That's my aesthetic.
Flat and dead.
Yeah.
So you like my hair then?
Yeah. I wasn't going to say anything. I was like, it reminds me of the drive to Newark.
Yeah. Well, so Hannah, we for those of you who don't know, which is maybe most of you. So Hannah is been dabbling in stand-up comedy for a little while now, but before that, she came to us from the world of improv.
Yes.
So how long have you been doing? I'll start with improv. How long did you start improv?
I started doing improv, kind of just like dabbling in it a little bit in 2018, I would say, around there. I was like doing a couple workshops, maybe in 2017, but it really picked up in 2018. I took, I believe that's when I took a class with Mark Hale, really good improviser in Columbus. He was doing classes at the time. And then a couple of the classmates started an improv group. And then I got into #Comedy Companies Cast, which I'm currently with still. So I've been doing improv for like 5 years, I think probably total, maybe like 5-ish years. And then, and then I've been doing stand-up for about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years at this point. I don't know. I did it once and I took a break for like 6 months. So I don't know if I count that or not. But.
So stand-up was your post-COVID midlife crisis then?
Yeah. Well, I always wanted to do stand-up. Like I would like listen to a lot of like comedians on like Pandora, especially a lot in college. And I really wanted to do it, but I was so nervous. And then I got into improv because it was like a little less intimidating for me. And then from there, #Comedy Company does like these storytelling based improv shows where it's like we get a theme from the audience. We don't know what it's going to be, like your first or something. And then it could be your first anything, like your first time skiing, your first time, whatever. And then you would
sort of crack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you would tell that story. And then people do improv scenes based off of it. And I really loved the story based stuff. So it kind of like led me to kind of break those fears of stand-up so then I could just do stand-up.
Yeah. So a thing that very few people, you were one of the first that I came out to about this. But I actually got my start in improv as well.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's taken a lot of years of fighting it with myself, internalizing that. And I apologize for all the people I've harmed along the way.
Yeah.
While I've just been dealing with my own stuff. And so when I was in,
I mean, all of that sounds like something an improviser would say.
Exactly.
So
I was just trying to yes and my own trauma there.
That's good. That's healthy.
But no, I did when I was in high school, our higher theater class that we had, they were doing a workshop with members of Second City in downtown Newark, and it was a huge snowstorm that day. And there was like 3 or 4 people that were just like, yeah, we can't make it because of this. So I got a call from my friend. It was like, hey, we're doing this like workshop at the Midland, and it's like we need as many people as we can to make it worthwhile for them. So I went and did this workshop with Second City.
That's awesome.
Got one of not to brag, but my scene got picked for an article in the newspaper though.
That's amazing.
That was
Oh my
yep. So that was when I knew I was destined for greatness.
So we can end it.
We'll end it right there. Yeah.
We can.
No, I realized I forgot my drum set that I've had for the last episodes because I always had the rim shot. So I thought just dramatically looking at the camera would do it. No, that's in fact, you know what? I'm going to pause this right now. I'm going to run back there and bring out my drum set. So
okay, perfect.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I have zero commitment, even to my ideas. No, nothing.
So that's what made you do stand up instead of improv.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun. I would have done it in college. I didn't catch the audition date like when they were doing for a group, and got away from it since then. But I've been on a few mixed shows here and there, like the half improv, half stand up.
Yeah.
And like afterwards, the improvers would be like, "All right, well, let's see if these walking dick joke factories can be in the moment and improv." And I was one of the few that actually did halfway decent. So
nice. Well, that's awesome. I feel like improv, coming from like improv to stand up, I feel like I've noticed a lot of patterns with people who do that. Like, kind of tend to be, I think, a little bit more in tune. Not saying like stand ups can't do this or whatever, but I think like in improv, it's so like hammered in that you're like feeling the energy in the room with the audience, and like because you're making things up on the spot. Like if an audience is not receptive to like a direction something's going, you can kind of tailor it a little bit to try to reconnect with the audience. And I feel like from what I've seen, a lot of the newer improvisers who are doing stand up now in the scene, like I think they tend to kind of have that like kind of awareness of the audience, which I think really does help. And I mean, there's benefits of both, and I think like that's something that I will talk for hours about if I can, because I think like they're both comedy, they both work together.
Yeah. Like they're way more alike than they are different.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so you brought up again that also along with you, there's like a wave of improvers that are actually dabbling in stand up as well.
Yeah.
And I had to laugh. There was one Mike, and you were hosting it. And I noticed there were a few improvers trying out stand up. And again, already I could tell right away they were better suited if something wasn't working. They were much better suited at trying to shift it. Yeah. Whereas I saw a couple of, granted, newer stand-ups that were like, nope, I have this bit is word for word. I have to do it exactly like this. I'm just plowing through it. It's like, yeah. Although there was like two that were just like, I almost felt like they were, it was in a way that they were like lovingly mocking stand-up, where they're just like, I'm going to talk about my genitals the whole time because that's all stand-ups do. And the best part is they did great.
Yeah.
Like it's, yeah.
No, that's like the thing that I think is like so interesting is like, for example, like Goody Hendrickson, she's, I'm doing improv with her through hashtag, and now she's does stand-up, and a lot of her stand-up is like very improvised, very like super smart, and you can see her just like if something is connected with the audience, she'll just go off on it, and like it might not be completely scripted or like what she had in her set, but it's so good. Like always, I've never seen her not kill a room before. And I'm not just saying that because like she's my friend, she's extremely talented. And I think like that's something too. Like when I started out, I didn't know any improvisers in the scene. The only person I knew in the improv scene was one of the other Savor Pint hosts, Amanda, and I'd met her like years ago, just like at a improv thing, and then like she was telling me about mics to do or whatever, and so then I came to like Savor Pint and a couple other ones, but I didn't know any other improvisers in the scene at that time. I was like kind of the first, and then I started like encouraging my friends to come, and like and I'm because I didn't want to be the only improviser in a way, but it was really nice to like. It's nice to have different people coming from different styles of comedy, I think is really helpful. And when I started, Xavier G. Dunson told me like how
he'll be so happy that you remember the G, by the way.
Yeah, I really try. A
lot of people forget it.
Yeah, Xavier always likes that. I think yeah. But I really like because he started doing improv when in like at his college at the time. I think before he maybe did stand up. I don't know.
Mhm.
But he knew from the improv background, he was like, yeah, like be sure to like trust your improv skills, and he's like, maybe you don't have to depend so much on like your written material. Like maybe you can also like, if you're nervous, just know that like you've done improv scenes before, like you've gone in front of a crowd not knowing what you're going to talk about. It's gone okay. So like depend on that some more. And that's something I like continuously tell other like comics coming from like improv too, is because I think that like calms you down a little bit. Like there's a lot of people I know who want to do improv or want to do stand up from improv, and they're very nervous and they always ask me, and I always like, that's like my first advice I give them, because I think it's so solid. Like you can already kind of get there. Not to like, of course, stand up is its own craft, but having improv as a background is beneficial, I guess. Long story short.
Yep. And then also, I believe when we were talking before, I think you also said that you also did like theater back in like high school too, and like you can always tell in any kind of comedy scene who the theater kids were.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, myself, I'm wearing this shirt because it was on the chair right here, and obviously I wasn't gonna go like look for a shirt.
Yeah.
And then this is what I wore last night for my Arthur Morgan Red Dead Redemption 2 themed stand-up set for Australia show last night. And yeah, it was when I walked into Bossy Girls, you better believe the judgment I was getting, because they were like, they don't recognize me enough, so they were like, okay, he's either doing this for a burlesque number or he's racist. One of those two things. That's the only things it could have been. They didn't think stand-up comic was actually going to do a theme set. Yeah. But as soon as I finally got up there and I introduced myself, I had the gruff voice and all that. And I killed it. That's too. Amazing. And then afterwards, then people were like, oh, hey, now that we know he's not racist, now we're going to go talk to him.
That's good.
But and even just walking from like my car into Bossy Girls too, like just they're like, what the hell is this cowboy doing on High Street in Columbus?
Yeah.
But yeah, with the trench coat too, because now trench coats aren't exactly a good look anymore.
Right.
But yeah. So no, I always appreciate anything for the theatricality of it. And yeah.
Yeah. I remember doing Estrella's show. I think you were there. The toga like themed one. It was like
the Greek orgy show. Yeah.
So fun. I like took nobody I think in that venue like really knew who I was, which was like perfect for this bit. So I like took a bed sheet and it had like pattern on it. It was like flowers or something, some like floral pattern. And I took peanut butter and like chocolate syrup, and I made fake poop. And then I rubbed it on the like sheet.
We'll edit that out in post.
Yeah, we'll wait. That's okay. So I rubbed it like on the sheet, and then I like hit it while I was like doing my act, and then at some point like I was like, I heard that this was a costume themed show. I immediately just grabbed my like sheet off my bed and I just put this on real quick, and then like I revealed the big like shit stain essentially on my thing, and it was so funny to see everyone in the room, like nobody knew if it was like a bit or not, and like people. But the best part about that was like before I went on, I had this like bag of fake poop, that I was going to the bathroom to apply and everything before I came, and like so many performers saw me leave the bathroom with just like this bag of poop. Yeah. And like nobody knew who I was. It looked so suspicious. Oh my gosh, that was pretty good.
That was actually the show I think I actually like met you like first time and actually like talked.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I was Dionysus for that show.
Yeah, that's right.
And I made wine on stage, so I dabbled in the actual enemy of comedy, in magical comedy.
Yeah.
Or comedy magic, sorry. But I had like I like dipped my two fingers in like dark cherry Kool-Aid powder, and like so they were like caked on enough.
Yeah.
And then I just had the wine up on stage. I was trying to hide the fingers for the first part there. Yeah. And then of course once I got in there. But the problem was the glass of water I got was so small for the amount of Kool-Aid powder that I had on my hands. So it was just like violently dark red.
It's like I turned this water into blood.
Oh yeah, exactly. like I wasn't Dionysus, I was Hades. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, and I pulled it out, and I mean, it's just dripping all over my toga, and then like it wouldn't even wash off all the way in the sink. Like the next morning, I found my toga on the floor of my house, and then just like there was additional stains as well. Like there was a little bit that got in my car, like on my steering wheel.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like if I had gotten pulled over that night driving back from Columbus,
you definitely would have gotten.
Oh yeah,
drunk driving. No, I had like some fake poop all over my car for a while. It was peanut butter and chocolate, so it did smell pretty good, I will say.
Right.
But that's like a hard thing to explain to people when you give them like a ride. It's like, no, I swear it's not.
Right.
It's not what it looks like.
Yeah, that would be a good smell though for the car.
Peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah. My parents, they used to have this 2004 Expedition, and we were doing some kind of like band boosters thing or whatever, or something for marching band. I want to say it was, or marching band or choir, one of the two things I was in high school, and we got like these giant Tim Hortons like coffee catering things, and one of them spilt in the car. And I mean, you want to talk about an amazing air freshener for like the first 4 days.
Yeah.
And then after that, it did get old pretty quick.
Especially like coffee. So I had a friend in high school who like, she also in band spilled like this latte or something in her like Kia Soul, and it smelled like baby puke for like the rest of high school. It smelled so bad. Like, she tried everything. Like you can't get that. You can't get that out. Like that milk will go rancid. I think they had to burn the Kia Soul. So
no, I don't know where I was gonna go with that. We'll cut that out. That should be a catchphrase. We'll cut it out and post, edit and post. I'll put it. I'll just put like a sign somewhere on here, and then like when that happens, I'll just like look, and I was like, boom, and then we'll cut, and it will be seamless.
That'd be pretty good.
It would, if I knew how to edit good.
You can do it. It's like iMovie or something. Yeah.
Or there's beauty in like the really bad edit, like just like the hardest cut into another scene. Like I don't know, there's something fun about that.
I think like definitely with all these like comedy podcasts everybody has going on, I feel like we could easily just take bits and pieces from everyone, like the podcast I do, for example, and then just like clip them all together. So I say some like horrible shit.
Yeah.
If you are good enough at editing, you could really end someone's career that way.
Oh yeah, they
not that I ever would.
Right. We'll edit that out in post.
Yeah.
That wink she gave afterwards.
Yeah. Don't tell my lawyer.
Yeah. No. I've seen somebody. Who was that? Actually, I think it was Christian and Sampson's podcast. They did that with you. Actually, I think you just barely missed Money G.
Yeah.
Okay, they did that with him.
Okay.
And again, they just took everything he said and like removed all the context.
That's
so
amazing.
It was just this cancel consolation.
That's good. That's smart though. That's why I'm very careful on what I say on podcasts.
Yeah.
My gosh. But yeah. Otherwise I'm an open book.
So also, how long have you been in Columbus? Because I know that you're originally from the thriving metropolis of Wadsworth.
Yeah, I'll say Akron. I don't want people to know I'm from Wadsworth. I'm from the original metropolis of Akron, Ohio.
Okay, yeah, I'll edit out Wadsworth.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, Akron has been great. So I moved down to OSU for school, and then I stayed there since I graduated. So it's been a good time, I think. Every once in a while after I graduated, I was going back and forth. Like, do I move to Cleveland? Do I stay in Columbus? And Michael Bush, who is this like incredible like sketch writer, performer, director, bunch of different things. He moved from LA back to Cleveland and was opening this comedy club called Imposters Comedy, and they do like sketch, improv, stand up, a bunch of different things. And he really kind of like, I kind of talked to him a little bit while he was getting started. I tried to help with some like marketing stuff, and that kind of inspired me to want to try to do something like that more in Columbus. And that's when I decided I wanted to like get more involved with my current position as hashtag, so I could help create these spaces in the improv scene that are like inclusive and like diverse and like well curated shows. Like, not to talk so highly about my shows. I mean, I think like we both have a similar approach to shows. Like, and Mandy Monaco, who's a very talented improviser and stand up and sketch writer in Columbus, I produce shows with sometimes, and she said she's really helped me understand like how to curate a show that is like inclusive and fun and different. And like, you want something that like, you don't want to have a set list where it's like all the same exact type of people or like the same look, because that's boring for the audience. Like, and it doesn't show the expansive like comedy scene that we have.
Right.
So that's something that I kind of really am trying to focus on like this year and moving forward in my comedy career, is like helping like connect with people and getting people on shows that might not normally get on shows, or working with other people they might not normally work with. I think that's really important to me.
Yeah, I agree with the curation of a lineup, because I mean, I try to get even, you know, for more suburban audiences, I guess we'll say.
Yeah.
But no, I always try, you know, you always try to get something for everyone, because the thing is, comedy is subjective. So you're, as the booker, as the producer, your job is to make sure that every person that goes in there has at least one comic that's for them.
Yeah.
And no, obviously, in a perfect world, all the comics are for everybody. But I mean, in realism here, you know, as long as you give them one comic they like, then you did your job as a booker, producer. Yeah,
I agree. I think like and I don't think like every comic, like, art is all subjective. It's like, we don't have to like, arguably you shouldn't tailor your like set completely to a room, you know. In some capacity it's like you have to stay true to your own style, but it's like you know, I'm shocked when I see different like I did a Moose Lodge show in like rural Ohio, and I was like shocked at like how receptive the audience was to like people that had different backgrounds or like different styles of stories, and like that they might not have been used to in like a rural Ohio setting. And so I think that was like a really eye-opening experience for me, where I was like, yeah, there's no like, all of these, I think, limits we put on ourselves tend to be like, I think, almost self-inflicted at some point. Like, I think like if we are willing to like build these bridges and connect with people, I think that's going to help everybody along the way. And I'm really passionate about like trying to get more women on shows, because I think like, especially like being in the comedy scene, it's such a male dominated like industry in general, but then it's also like on the local scene too. It's like there is so much of like a boys club that it is kind of hard for like women to break into.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like it's still to this day, it's very male dominated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like when you're talking about verse lineups and like all that, I was like, oh, that's why I've not been on a show. No.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I am a caricature of stand-up comedy.
I don't think that's true either, though, because it's like, you know, you and that's not saying like no white man can, like, no white cis male can like ever be on like a comedy show again, but it's all about like,
they can't jump though. They can't jump.
Right. Yeah. It's all about just, exactly. Yeah. But it's all about just like having a balance. It's like you don't want to have like it's nice like to have like women and men on the same show, or people like white, black, Hispanic, whatever, like have people
Irish.
from different exactly all the main races, like really having them on different shows like together, I think is like really important. I mean, like, it's kind of funny because I was doing this Rambling House showcase with Mandy, who I just mentioned earlier, and we just so happened to have all female comics on the first show, and we got so much feedback from people saying like, oh, I love that it's an all women show. And it's so funny because we didn't even like view it that way. We weren't even like looking at it, because we were like, oh, we're just going to book who we think is funny. And it just so happened that they were women, and it just so happened that they were like, it was a diverse, you know, like set list. I don't think that was like, it wasn't like an intentional thing. We just genuinely wanted to book the people that like we've always wanted to have on a show. We think that they would work well together. And so I think it's kind of like a weird thing where it's like, it's not like it's like a woman show if like you just happen to have all women, but like no one's ever saying like that's a man show if it's all men. It's just like, that's a normal comedy show.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
So,
that's true.
yeah.
So last year, while we're on the subject,
Yeah, sure.
so last year when I started doing homestead shows, so the very first one, I had Jesse headlined, Jesse Pimpinella, Time Lord, Patsy B. And then the very next one was the February show, and with it being Black History Month, I wanted to book all Black artists for the show. And immediately, the moment that flyer came out, I had like 4 or 5 people be like, "Wow, that's a Black lineup." And I'm like, "Damn right it is." Like, yeah, I'm not gonna cast an all white show during Black History Month. I want to celebrate Black artists.
Yeah.
And I hate that ticket sales like dwindled pretty significantly for that. Yeah.
It's so
So
weird.
it let me know. I was like, like I really owe it to myself to like try and actively, celebrate artists of every background.
Yeah.
And then and I'm doing the same our next February show. Once again, I have all Black artists. Well, obviously except for me, but I'm attached to the room at that point, so it's like no, I'm a talking piece of furniture for that one. So deal with me for a little bit, but then after that, plus white chocolate, we're gonna
sure.
Yeah.
So, I think like that's such an interesting thing that it's like the ticket sales would dwindle, and I think the same thing does kind of happen with like femme shows. Probably not even as much. I feel like like femme, like we do this hashtag comedy does this improv show with all femme performers called Femprov, and it like always sells out. It's pretty good. I mean, we also had a all POC show that we co-produced with Terrence Davis, who's a good friend of mine, former. I mean, he still does improv, but now he does stand up too. Incredible,
right?
And we co-produced that show, and it also sold out. And so I think like. But in a place like Newark or whatever, I can see where that would be maybe a little bit more challenging. To reach, a certain.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, I'd love to do it, and I'm trying to get the market to where it should be. But
and I think like that's something that I always think about too, where it's like instead of it being like an all POC show or like an all like femme show, it's like I think the best thing you can do as a booker is getting the exposure out for all the different comics by having a diverse setup like every single time, because it's like I mean even like the improv like stand-up scene, like I'm a performer and I still don't know a lot of like the Black comics in the scene because the comedy scene is so segregated in Columbus. And it's like that's a good way for other people to meet each other, get introduced, like go on other shows. And I think like that's the effort that it takes. Like with the Rambling House shows, like Mandy and I really try. It's like if we've seen someone's video or like even if we haven't met them like in person, but we know that they're in the scene, maybe like we just don't have the same circles, like we will try to book them if we think that their stuff's good, just because like we want to increase this kind of like diverse and inclusive thing. And I think it's like, and I'm not like, neither of us are changing the scene or whatever, but it's like I think a little like everybody who does a little bit of that really does add up over time. And I think like that's what people really need. I'm on my soapbox today. Oh my god.
Oh no, you're on my chair. That's
good.
But it's such a high chair. But it's such a high chair.
Yeah, all my soapboxes are at least, what is this, like 3 feet tall?
Yeah. No, I and also like here I love again the diversity of comedy, because I learn things about my culture from watching Black comics make fun of my culture. Like I didn't know that white people were putting raisins in potato salad until I heard Black people talking about white people putting raisins in potato salad.
And it gives you more material like as a comic too, because like I mean like so I'm in an interracial relationship. My boyfriend is Black, and there's a lot of things like I've learned dating him that I didn't realize. And I think like I come from like a suburban like American Midwestern. I feel like it's very very vanilla as you can get. And so it's interesting to like have this like constant comparison when it's like, for example, like moisturizing, like I'm not sure what percentage of my paleness is just straight ash, and it's like things like that where it's just like, man, all these like stereotypes kind of are slightly true in some way, I guess. And it's funny because then it's like, oh well, I can like make a joke about that now because I know that's a thing that other people think about like my culture or whatever, even though it's like I would never have known that if I hadn't talked to people or whatever.
Yeah, it's like it's like when you get like a tan or beige car,
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's the same color, but you just know in your heart, like most of that's probably dirt.
Yeah. Where are you getting your car? I saw that car out front. Looks like it was
The
from
very
Jane.
back of the used lot.
Yeah.
It's been out there for a couple years. They haven't moved it a couple winters.
You're like, this car's been dead for 50 years.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah, I actually I really actively started like practicing a good skincare regimen back in like over COVID actually, because I was like, I'm home, I have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna treat myself, spa day here.
Absolutely.
And I started doing it regularly, and then once things started opening back up again, not only between me losing a lot of weight over COVID, but then also having a good skincare regimen, everyone was like freaking out. They're like, you have amazing skin. And I was like, yeah, because I put lotion on parts of my body besides my dick. Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, and thank you. Yeah, I finally spread it all around.
Yeah.
The lotion,
Yeah.
And the other one with consent, but
yeah,
and
yeah.
I had to clarify that.
Yeah.
I was like, because in the summer I'll have something that can be canceled now, so I gotta get ahead of that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, it's really weird when people just like say you have great teeth, you have great skin. It's like just say I look good. Don't be that specific because that makes it creepy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like the skin one is like that's them just saying like I want to wear you.
Yeah,
I'm like,
no, I agree.
Yeah,
I had a friend who in like high school or whatever, his like main go-to to pick up girls or whatever was like, your skin is like porcelain. And I'm like, I feel gross about that. I don't like it at all.
My non-existent vagina just dried up hearing that.
It looks like it's like makes me feel like, are you trying to like put me on like a lampshade or something? It's like very creepy. And I told him that, and then he stopped. Right? I was like, man, just like tell me I look nice. He's like, but sometimes they don't look nice. I'm like, okay, well, maybe just stop. Raise your standards. I don't know. What do you want me to say? Oh, he's great. But
love the idea. It's like your advice is just be honest. Be honest with them, and then it's like, well, sometimes they don't look nice. Like no, you know what? No, lie to them. Lie to them.
Right. He's like, yeah, they're ugly, but at least they have nice skin. I'm like, then don't say anything. It's not worth it. It's fine.
Just let them go about their day. Let them go eat Arby's and be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I feel like that's great that you do skincare though. I feel like you got to start when you're young, because then it's like it's too late when you're old.
Yeah.
I put like sunscreen on now all the time.
Yeah. Well, I had to do that anyway because I work outdoors, but during the day. So yeah, because I'm just out in the sun all the time. So like again, I'm not ahead of the curve. I'm just playing catch up because again, for my first couple years, I didn't even forget to do sunscreen, and I'd just be like I said, like my arms. I just say it is like I'm not tan. It's just a 10-year-long sunburn that's never been allowed to heal.
Yeah.
So
I did like some landscaping work for a summer in high school, and I had like the worst farmer's tan for years after. I was just so pale. It was like the first time that part of my body, like my arms, had seen the sun essentially. And I was just, it was bad. It was real bad, and it was like that for literally years. I could not do anything about it. Yeah, I'm so pale.
Yeah. Oh, back in November before our show, when I went I spent a week in the Dominican Republic at a resort, and I was just trimming up some of my hair. Mm-hmm. Be lucky you don't have the all of this hair. So I was just trimming it up.
Who says I don't?
Hence the sweater. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
I'm not wearing a shirt right now.
Yeah, I'll say that high collar because it's like the hair starts with it. Yeah. But no, I was just trying to trim it up better, and I botched it just enough that I had to factory reset the whole thing for the first time since I was like 13.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, like if you hit me with a spotlight, I would have like glowed like the moon. That was the first time. Yeah. The first time this bearskin had seen any form of unfiltered light in 16 years.
Wow.
And it's just so pale, so doughy. And I'm like, oh my God, like now that there's no hair here, I like have actual breast now.
Yeah.
Like they have like form. They actually have like shape.
Yeah.
I hated it. So, and I was like so sandpapery on my last couple of days too.
That's the worst part about shaving is just the like roughness of it.
Yeah.
I can't stand it.
Yep.
One time I went to Michigan with some friends, and I also really got in the sun too much, and I wear like leggings in the summer, so like my legs are super pale, and I fell asleep on the beach, and I wake up and I just got like severe sun poisoning only on like the whole backside of me, and I couldn't like bend my knees. I had to like take off work. It was the worst experience of my life. Like I got literal stretch marks on my legs from the swelling. Like it was painful. So yeah, all that to say, it's tough being me is what I'm trying to say.
It's what it was all coming to.
Yeah. It's I don't know how I live.
You just wrote one chapter of your first book.
Yeah.
Just sitting here.
Yeah. Please, thank you.
Yeah, the sun poisoning chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like I said, now it's already fortunately grown back, and unless I'm being paid like a lot of money for like a movie scene that requires me to be all bare and clean shaven, like no, never again.
Yeah.
And the beard unfortunately is gonna go probably around St. Patty's Day. Like I grow it out for the winter, but once I eventually stop fighting what's going on up here, then I'm gonna have to keep some kind of facial hair, because then I'll just look like a giant baby.
Yeah.
And that's not the look I'm trying to go for.
And for Valentine's Day, you could look like a little cherub. It'd be kind of cute if you wanted.
It would be so not cute.
Yeah.
Especially if I had the diaper, the little bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Just walk up to a couple in Olive Garden, and because that's high class dining around these parts.
Oh.
Yeah, and just go up there, just shoot like a little fake arrow. They look up, they spit out their meal.
That's
good
good
times. Yeah.
I feel like if we owned like the local cheesecake factory and wanted to get rid of our competition, that would be a great way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
just send me in as a splinter cell.
Yeah. Just like, all right, I need you to just make all those breadsticks disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because no one will be eating.
It's like send in butterbean.
Yeah.
Hey, while we're on the subject, and actually this is probably going to air around the time of Valentine's Day anyway.
Sure.
What is your favorite Valentine's Day memory?
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Let me see here.
So many. You got it. Yeah.
I don't know. My favorite Valentine's Day memory. I remember in 4th grade, there was this guy. He was like going around and dating with the girls, and I was not allowed to date. When I was in school at all, like barely even in like high school.
Yeah, same.
I went on my first date when I was like 17 or 18 or something. Maybe even older than that crap. But this kid in 4th grade, he was like, he's like, making his rounds, dating all the girls, like literally every single girl in our class except for me. And I wasn't like, I was cute, but I wasn't like these girls like in 4th grade. Like, you just had
nice skin. That's
I just had nice skin. That was all I really had going for me. I was like just a cute, normal looking 4th grader, and like I think a lot of girls in like 4th grade started like wearing makeup and started like really caring about their appearances, maybe more than me. Like I was super nerdy, only there to learn, like, whatever. And
Miss Granger, yeah.
And so this kid comes up to me in 4th grade, and it was like the first time I was asked out. And he was like, so because I had been the only girl he had not dated at that point. Mm-hmm. So he comes up to me and he's like, so I guess you don't like me. I hear you don't like me. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, because we're not gonna date. And I was like, I was so nervous because he was like, I did have like a little crush on him, but I was like, crap, I don't know what to do. And then the bell rings, and I just like dropped my whole bag, and I just ran out of the class. And I never talked to him again. I would say that was probably my favorite Valentine's Day memory. It happened like around Valentine's Day. Super cute. I love like the little like stories about like the like little like kids having crushes or whatever. I think it's like the cutest thing. Like because I wasn't really allowed to like date in like when I was a kid, so it's it's like always fun to hear people's stories about like, oh yeah, when I was like a kid, I had like my boyfriend or my girlfriend. You know, I'm really happy I didn't. Like, I don't think I would have wanted that, but I would have probably been too focused on that than like schoolwork and everything. But
yeah.
How about you? What's your favorite Valentine's Day memory?
One of my only ones, because I've been perpetually single almost my whole life. But one of the few times I did, it was about 2 or 3 years after I bought the house, and I had really started drinking heavy. This is a happy story, don't worry.
Yeah. Okay.
I was really drinking heavy, and just burning money. It got to the point I was about to like start losing the house, so I had to like really like dial it back, live the PB&J, ramen, grilled cheese life, all that.
Dave Ramsey, beans and rice and rice and
That's
beans.
Right. And questionably canned meats.
Yeah.
And so I
questionably canned or questionably meat.
yeah. Questionably meat. Yeah.
This is a dent in the side.
Canned questionable meat. There we go. Yeah.
Or both.
Yeah. But
me and the sausages are weird.
But right around that time, girl and I, we were like sort of seeing each other.
Yeah.
And I told her, I was like, hey, I am like piss poor right now. Like I'm like, I don't have 2 pennies to rub together. So I stole money. I stole money from the government. Which, by the way, haha, suckers. You know, I got just enough money to be able to take her out on Valentine's Day. And so I was like, all right, hey, I can't take you anywhere fancy, but what we're going to do, hopefully it's charming enough that you'll remember forever. Yeah. So we go to Taco Bell, and I had reserved a corner booth at Taco Bell.
I didn't even know you could do that.
I knew one of the workers, so I was like, "Hey, let me rope off this corner here." And I had like a fake tablecloth on the booth. I had like the fake LED candles as well, and we get in there, and we like wore like nice clothes too. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "All right, eat whatever you want from the dollar menu." So we got like 2 cheesy pita rice burritos, 2 beefy Fritos burritos, and then like cups of water that of course we put some Sprite in or whatever. And we go over, sit down, and then I called in a favor from a friend of mine. He was in a barbershop quartet. They came in there and sang to us tableside. Yeah. And then I came back, and I had like a heart of Reese's cups on the bed. Yeah. And then also a penis of Reese's cups on the bed too, going into the heart because I'm classy AF. Yeah. And then we broke up shortly after that.
Maybe if it was like the little hot sauce packets from Taco Bell.
Yeah, the fire sauce.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the sauce is as hot as my feelings for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whoever's writing those must get all the women or the men.
Yeah.
For sure.
Let's say I'm pretty sure they're pretty fluid there.
Yeah. Because they're. Yeah, no, I got it.
We're going to edit that one out.
Edit that one out. Actually, yeah. You don't have to actually be there. We can just.
Yeah. We'll green screen ourselves away from there, and then we'll cut into. We'll put like I don't know, like Jabba the Hutt over here, and then like Hermione Granger over there.
That's perfect. I would love that. People used to compare me to Hagrid more, so I prefer that. I did not cut my hair until like 11.
It's because you were so endearing and caring, right?
Yeah, it wasn't because I was like super tall for a girl and like really long hair that I didn't know how to take care of. I still don't. But like, yeah.
And you also just had like giant dragon eggs in your pockets at all times too.
Yeah, exactly. I was
big old useless dog.
Yeah. My gosh, I was. Yeah. I don't know why. It must have been because of my hair. But yeah, no, it was good. I didn't cut my hair until like I was in 11th grade, and then it's kind of weird, like when you cut your hair, going back to hair care, but like, if you cut it at a certain length, I've noticed if you're a woman, then people start calling you ma'am immediately. Like immediately. Like I got my hair cut short when I was like 21 first, like this short. And people started being like at the checkout line, like, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. It used to be miss. And then it's like, even though I'm older, as my hair grows out, they call me miss more. And it's like, man, that's nuts. It's like, really can just add 20, 30 years on my life, apparently.
Yeah.
I demand the respect, though. I respect that.
Ever since you get your first ma'am, you're like, nope, I've been missing this my whole life.
Yeah. It's like kind of nice. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things you can do with like makeup and like your appearances to make yourself like look older, which is nice. My mom is a nurse, or she's like kind of like semi-retired now, but she was like she kind of went to school when we were younger, so she was kind of like a newer nurse, even though she was older in age. And so she would like let her gray grow in, so the patients were like more comfortable with her, and they would just be like, "Man, I'm so happy we have like one of the senior nurses on the unit." And then and she's like, "Yeah, okay." She's like really like 6 months, 2, 3, 4 years in, like, I'm like, that's genius. And she would dye her hair before her ID photo, so it looked like it was taken a long time ago, and then in person she's gray.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this is like, she's playing 3D chess. Smartest woman I know. Like, amazing.
That's the long game.
Yeah,
for sure.
I tell all my friends, I'm like, yeah, if you're going to go into like asking for a raise or something, grow that shit out. Like, put on makeup that makes you look older, like whatever you need to take, so your boss knows that either you're suddenly older or like their job is slowly killing your soul because it's aged you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I found my very first work ID from when I was 19.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 years later now, and yeah, it's scary. Again, I was baby faced, full head of hair. It was like kind of longish. It wasn't as long as like when I was in high school where I had like the full blown like the Bieber hair. And a lot of people people that meet me now, they can never believe that used to be me. But I mean, I still listen to the same music. I just don't dress the same anymore. But like I still listen to My Chem, Taking Back Sunday, The Used, Panic at least once a week.
Yeah, Panic ended.
I know.
R.I.P.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time coming. I mean, they haven't been a band since like
it's been
2013, 2014 maybe. But
yeah.
I mean, good for him though. I mean, for his reasons for doing it, but he'll be back.
Yeah, he cares about his family or something. That's
he'll be
embarrassing.
Back.
Where's some priorities at?
Yeah, I'll say, real family understands that they are on the sideline while you chase the dream.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. I think like, I mean, I get that he cares about his kid, but what about me?
Exactly.
He never thought about my feelings.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I tell the few times I go on dates, I'm like, hey, my comedy, my rap career first. I mean, once it goes well, I mean, you can reap the benefits, but the grind don't stop.
Yeah.
And then they never text me back. I wonder why.
That's amazing. You need to send some like more emojis or something in it, just take some like. I was gonna say Andrew Tate. We can't say Andrew Tate anymore. Not like we should have ever said Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
But
But no, I
put some of those kinds of quotes in, like, bro.
Yeah, I already get a lot of shit from people for the amount of emojis I text. I don't care. They're cute. I like them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shows your sensitive side.
Yeah. Yeah. Like don't let the appearance fool you.
Yeah.
No.
The tough.
The tough exterior.
Yeah. I got you.
The tough exterior of these nerdy glasses.
Yeah, those
that need cleaned.
Those are sharp edges, man. They could.
Yeah.
That's a blunt object right there.
It is. Yeah, they're I believe they're Sean John glasses too.
I have no idea who that is. Is that just like
it's Diddy?
Oh.
Yeah, and these are Sean John glasses. So
I totally knew that.
Yeah, if they're Diddy, these could be murder weapons. These could be what he killed Pac with.
Wow. It's at this moment I realize I know none of these references. I'm so sorry.
Oh, white people.
I know. We really are like that. I grew up like super, like I didn't know who like the Backstreet Boys were or like Britney Spears. I thought Elvis was alive. Like,
Elvis is still alive.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's alive.
Unlike some Presleys.
Yeah. R.I.P. I guess she didn't do anything wrong.
That one was too soon. That was too soon. We'll edit that out in post.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sorry. This I was like, this is gonna be 0 minutes long if you keep editing all this out.
Right.
No, I thought Elvis was alive when I was a kid. And because I would listen to like those oldies like tapes. Like imagine those like Lifetime package like edition, like this like infomercials that's like when the moon hits your oil. I thought that was like the music of the day. And so like I like was super off base when people were like singing Bye 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 or like Scrubs or I don't know what's the Spice Girls.
Yeah, Wannabe.
Man, it's like it's so weird to be like 25, 26 and then having to like memorize all those lyrics. So like you can like go to a wedding and like act like you know the lyrics, like how you've always known the lyrics. But I did it and it was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I always like kind of I was kind of like sometimes we'll forget that like Elvis and Sinatra were like the same time period.
Yeah.
Like for some reason I feel like they were so much further apart, but no, they were both on TV together at one point. Yeah,
who would you think is older, Frank Sinatra or Elvis?
Sinatra I would have thought was older.
Yeah, I feel like jazz. I mean, that kind of like kind of like goes back to older times.
Yeah, because that has roots in like like the early 20s, 30s, and then Elvis was the descendant of Satan himself with his music. So
yeah, but
all that
moved his pelvis around.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Couldn't do it.
I did. I was Conrad Birdie and Bye Bye Birdie, so naturally I watched a lot of like Elvis dancing videos, so I could try to like get it down.
Yeah.
And again, just how sacrilegious and blasphemous that his hound dog was on the first time he was on the Ed Sullivan Show. It's like nowadays, again, it's so laughable. And it's like, really, this was your guys' WAP? Like,
yeah. It's like, yeah.
Like, that's the one you put in a time machine. Like, if you bring someone back from there, it's like, oh, you thought Elvis was bad? No. Just know there's some hoes in this house. Right?
Yeah. Like, yeah. You don't realize how bad it could have gotten.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah. Yeah, I remember like I'm Christian. I grew up very religious, though. And I was like not allowed to cuss or anything at all. Like I'm not even kidding. Like one time I whispered like the F word upstairs in my house, and like my dad heard me and like sat me down. We like had a long talk or whatever. But my brother one time was on my iPod and he found that I had it was like some like Pink song, like the singer Pink. Yeah, she has this song that's like in the ad libs she drops the F bomb. And I had accidentally bought the like explicit version as opposed to like the whatever, the kid friendly one.
Yeah. And
I was like banned from using my iPod for like 2 or 3 months because of it. And I was like, I could just delete the song, but they're like, you're gonna like, this is bad, it's not good for your brain to be listening to this stuff. It's like subliminal messaging because it's like in the background of the song too. Yeah. I'm like, it stinks.
Yeah. It's weird. I mean, I also grew up in a rather strict religious upbringing as well. But like, it was weird that my parents were pretty cool with me watching and listening to whatever I wanted to. Like, it's just in other ways of like how I like presented myself. Like now, like they wanted me like dressing up nicely every day.
Yeah.
But they didn't mind me watching, movies or songs that cursed or anything. Yeah. And hell, my dad, when I was like 10 was like when my dad like introduced a whole bunch of shit in my life that basically changed me forever. I guess when he like before that, my mom would only let me listen to country music.
Oh, really?
Only. Yeah. She let like some Eric Clapton slides, some Rolling Stones, and some Beatles. That was about it. But pretty much nothing with country. And then when I was 10, my dad played me Black Sabbath for the first time.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, exactly. I'm like metal, or I was like, music could be like this. I was like, so metalhead forever then. And then around that time, he also made me watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh my gosh.
Blazing Saddles and Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Wow.
Those three. And yeah, like I said, here we are today on my somewhat like comedy podcast, all because again Monty Python and Mel Brooks when I was 10, which admittedly a little too young. We can all see now the consequences of it, but
yeah, that's amazing. I feel like my parents were like kind of like in and out about what I could be like watch as far as entertainment would go. Like music was very much like older stuff. Like we had like 8-tracks in the house, like whatever, like Mamas and the Papas, whatever, stuff like that. Elvis, Beatles, which I always thought was kind of interesting, like looking back at the Beatles, because I'm like, they were so like like hippie dippy, like they're like the pinnacle of being hippie for that time period, but we could still listen to them. But yeah, like I wasn't allowed to watch like SpongeBob, or like we didn't have like cable, like extended cable. We had like C-SPAN and PBS.
Yeah.
And then like for 4 hours every Saturday you had That's So Raven or something. Like it was very like very basic stuff, which I kind of like regretted growing up. Like I really wanted like full cable, and eventually like they gave it to us for like Christmas or something, but like and we had it for like the rest of our childhood, but it was like after middle school, and I really kind of wish I never did. Like looking back, I was like, I would have preferred not to have like extended cable, because I feel like I wasted so much time watching TV, and I could have just like spent doing time doing like anything else.
Yeah,
better.
Yeah, I mean, looking back, I mean, there's not a lot I regret, but like I regret how I handled my quarantine time.
Yeah.
Except for the losing weight part, I don't regret that. But my other thing besides like learning about like the actual like science of like bodybuilding and like fitness and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was the year of it I decided to like really dive deep into superheroes.
Oh yeah.
And like I got comic books, I would read them online. I did everything. I did such a deep dive in. I knew a little bit my whole life. Like I was like into Spider-Man, I was into Batman, like the big ones, the big ones. And then I did like a really deep dive over quarantine. And like looking back, I was like, that time, that amount of focus could have been spent on like, I don't know, sign language or how to do my own taxes or CPR, something that could benefit other people instead of just take a conversation of nerdiness to the next level. Like,
yeah, I think that's totally fine. Like, I think like if you, totally respect. I think anyone who like took COVID to like take time for themselves, or like dove into like, or quarantine time, not necessarily COVID, but like, discovered a new hobby, or like dove deeper into an existing one. I think that's awesome. I don't think that's like, that's whatever keeps you sane. Like we literally went through like a traumatic event. Like, I think it's, if becoming a super nerd is like what you needed to do.
Well,
you did it.
Also part of it was at the time we were on the books to do a Marvel roast of like Thanos and all that. So that was part of my excuse for it. I was like, well, I'm doing it for a show. I'm doing it for work.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for work. And then the same this year with horror movies, because I actually my whole life I've hated horror movies.
Yeah.
But once finally got enough people that were like, you should do like a horror roast, and my friend Peter specifically was the most constant. Do this roast. I'm like, all right, fine, if we'll shut you up. And then I had to do a deep dive into the genre. And again, I don't know if it's just because I've been so mentally fucked up since then, but like none of the movies are scary to me anymore. I was like, yeah, this is nothing compared to what's in my head every day. Like, yeah, like people, stalking and killing and come up from the dead. I'm like, yeah, that's a Tuesday for me. Like, and so yeah, then it was like, oh wow, these movies suck. Not because like I'm terrified of them. It's just like because they're so reliant on that, and then they don't deliver for me.
Yeah, you get like desensitized.
Exactly. But I mean, so we did it for that. So whatever the next character verse I do will be another deep dive into something. I don't know, at this rate, it might be Harry Potter though. With the Legacy game coming out, it's somewhat relative news again. So
I do a mean Hagrid or Hermione if you need. So just let me know.
Okay, actually, I'll probably just have you do both, and literally all you need to do is just change your coat and put on a beard.
Yeah, the hair's the same.
Yeah, the hair's the same. Exactly.
Yeah, I'll get one that's like crimped first.
Yeah.
In the 90s.
Oh yeah, you definitely. Yeah, Sorcerer's Stone. Hermione's hair. Yeah. Not this somewhat tame stuff we got from the 5th one on.
She lost herself, truly.
She did. All that knowledge she had in her head, it went through her hair and it straightened it all out.
Exactly. Yeah. All her secrets were just slowly.
Yeah. Out the chamber. Yeah.
That's good. Good.
Well, hey, on that note, probably I'll just wrap this up. Plus, I know you said you had somewhere to be.
Yeah.
So, again, thank you all for listening so far. Hannah, please tell everybody how they can support you, where to find you.
Yeah. sure. You can follow me at Hannah Romes on Instagram. You can follow #comedy, spelled out #comedy, Cbus on Instagram. And I also run Columbus Laughs, also a website and on Instagram that promotes comedy shows in Columbus, improv, stand-up, and even shows that combine the both if people are crazy enough to.
You heard it here. Follow her. She's doing great work out there, helping to bridge the gap between the two warring factions, and we'll get there soon enough. Yeah, the next Avatar. Yeah. All right, Airbender, not the blue people. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you later for the next episode.
Cool. Thanks for having me. It's just fun.
Of course. And recording.